Can't I just wear what I had on today? He asked. Look at those marks from your jeans and tell me that again, she replied. Okay, just for you, but now I'm going to bed, he said, blowing kisses to each of them as he always did at bedtime. Sleep in your top, you'll be more comfortable, Jenny said. The rest of the family followed his lead. The stress, excitement, and a little bit of celebration had worn everyone down. They were all up early the next morning. It was still a school day for the girls. Gregor called in to start his vacation a day early. He mentioned he had a meeting and offered to drop the girls off at school, which they appreciated. Midwestern Novembers are no joke. He wouldn't say where he was going, though. Laura looked at Victor's pajamas. Yep, still there. It wasn't a dream. After dropping the girls at school, Gregor drove straight to Polk Elementary. He walked into the office and asked to see the principal immediately. He was told to wait while someone found her. One of the student aides was sent to let her know an upset man was waiting. Mrs. Evans arrived, a stern woman with a commanding presence. She looked him in the eye and said, "And you are?" "I'm Gregor O'Malley." "And?" "Victor's father." She paused. "Oh, him. He's had some difficulties. It's good you're taking an interest. Tell me what you think his difficulties are." She led him to her office and motioned to a chair as she pulled out a file. She scanned it for a moment. First, his academic performance. "I've told your wife he needs more support at home." Second, he doesn't seem to make any effort to fit in socially. And third, his behavior. He doesn't participate much, he often skips lunch, and he isolates himself during recess unless directed otherwise. There were also some conflicts, but those seem to have declined since the parent-teacher meetings a few weeks back. "So I assume progress is being made. Is that all?" Gregor asked. "It's a starting point," she said. "All right, my turn. First, Victor is actually quite bright. He often studies ahead, even when it's not assigned. Has he ever been evaluated for learning differences?" She started to speak, but he raised a hand. "Second, he tells me he's never started a fight. He says fighting back was the only way to avoid being picked on. He's had his lunch taken, and teachers have seen it happen without intervening." She tried to respond again, but Gregor stood and leaned forward, locking eyes with her. "Third, and this is the most serious, he's been subjected to inappropriate treatment that no student should endure. If I don't get real answers today, I have friends in the legal and media fields who won't hesitate to act." Mrs. Evans straightened in her chair, clearly unsettled. "What are you referring to?" she asked. "Some of the students call him Vicky. Yes, but kids can be unkind, especially when someone looks different. I'm talking about staff allowing it to happen. His teacher made him sign his papers as Vicky. He's been put in dresses 3 times at school, and once he had to stay in it until nearly the end of the day." Mrs. Evans buzzed her assistant. "Please go to Miss Wharton's room and bring all of Victor O'Malley's schoolwork you can find. I was told about one dress incident," she continued. "But no one could find his clothes at the time, and the other kids claimed it was a prank he agreed to." Soon, the secretary returned with a stack of papers all signed Vicky O. Some had Victor's own scribbled notes. "I'm really Victor, I hate this, and I wish I didn't exist." Gregor held them up. "So this is why Laura wasn't shown his work at conferences." Mrs. Evans buzzed again. "Have Miss Wharton come to my office immediately. Someone else can cover her class." When Miss Wharton entered, Mrs. Evans handed her 2 papers. "Read these out loud." She glanced at them, then mumbled, "If you keep writing like this, I'll keep giving you an F, young lady. Stop writing, 'I'm really Victor' on your papers, or I won't read them. Act right, young lady." "What's the reason behind these comments?" Mrs. Evans asked. Miss Wharton hesitated. Gregor stared her down. "Finally," she said, "if she would stop pretending to be a boy, I wouldn't have to." Mrs. Evans pulled a copy of Victor's birth certificate from the file. "He's not pretending. This document makes it very clear." Miss Wharton's voice trembled. "He really is a boy? Then why do all the kids call him Vicky and make him use the girls' restroom?" That's probably something you should have looked into before joining in on the mistreatment, Gregor said firmly. But she looks so pretty and delicate. Besides, she has, well, feminine features, Miss Wharton replied. Feminine features? He has a medical condition that only recently began showing symptoms, and we're getting it checked out. That's actually why he's not in school today, Gregor explained, pointing to the date on the quiz she was holding. But this issue started long before any of those physical signs. He's right, Mrs. Evans said. I have no choice but to relieve you of your duties and assign Mr. Johnson to take over your class. I'm contacting Child Welfare Services and requesting an urgent investigation. Go wait in the staff lounge and make yourself available to them. We're getting to the bottom of this today. Miss Wharton started crying and quietly left the office. As Mrs. Evans picked up the phone to arrange class coverage, she looked at Gregor. I'm truly sorry this happened. What you've shared explains quite a bit, but it sounds like there may be another concern. I'll update you once the doctor tells us more, Gregor replied. But right now, I still want answers. Gregor arrived home just before the doctor called. Victor was cleaned up and wearing some of his sister's spare clothes, while Laura was getting ready to head out. When she picked up the phone, Dr. Dennis was on the line. There's been a change of plans, Mrs. O'Malley. Please take Victor to the University Medical Center. I've scheduled additional tests for noon. I'll meet you there and go over the latest lab results while they're running tests. We should have some clarity by early afternoon. Gregor and Laura got ready quickly, knowing the pre-holiday traffic could be heavy. It took nearly the full 2 hours they'd allowed to reach the hospital. Once they checked in, the receptionist smiled. We can take him now. Nobody schedules tests right before a holiday, she said, and led Victor away to change into a hospital gown. When the technician saw Victor's clothes under his parka, she paused. She checked the file, looked at Victor, then the file again. Victor noticed and spoke up with a nervous laugh. Yeah, that's why I'm here. There's been some confusion about whether I'm a boy or a girl. She smiled warmly. Well, the scans will help clear that up. Which result are you hoping for? Victor shrugged. What do you think? I think you're hoping boy, she replied gently, but I'll be honest, you'd make a very lovely girl. Victor chuckled. You might be right. Might be easier to change how I act than to change other things, he said, glancing downward. She handed him the gown and explained the procedure, checking his vitals along the way. Are you nervous? She asked. A little, but I kind of figured something like this was coming. After the scan, she brought a wheelchair. Can't I just walk? Victor asked. Company policy, she joked. If you trip, your parents sue, and next thing I know, you're my boss. She handed him a drink. Yuck, Victor said. Classic hospital experience, she replied. We had to include the questionable beverages. They laughed all the way down the hallway. After the tests, Victor got dressed and returned to the waiting room, where Dr. Dennis was now speaking with his parents. Another doctor was present too. Victor's dad stood and offered him money for a snack, but Victor shook his head. I want to stay. You're talking about me. I want to hear it too. Gregor nodded. All right, son. But I don't think you're going to like everything you hear. Dr. Dennis began again for Victor's benefit. I called the lab this morning to follow up on some tests we ran 2 weeks ago. Your growth hormone levels are elevated, about 25% higher than typical for your age. The lab staff assumed you were a girl because of certain results. Your estrogen levels are also at the high end for someone entering female puberty. That's why we needed more tests. Something is producing that hormone, and we need to find out what. He continued, I don't think it's from any medication. I've ruled that out. I have a theory, but I want to confirm it with today's results. They should be ready soon. In the meantime, we'd like to do a brief physical exam. This is Dr. Kelly. He'll likely be part of your care going forward. What's estrogen? Victor asked. Dr. Kelly answered, estrogen is a hormone, kind of like a chemical signal your body uses. It's one of the ones that typically shapes girls' development. Testosterone does that for boys. And there's another called progesterone, which is involved too. You have both estrogen and progesterone in your system. As they led Victor to the exam room, he joked, "You should have been here 10 minutes earlier. I was already undressed once." There was a female nurse in the room, and Victor hesitated. "Don't worry, honey," she said gently. "I've raised boys and girls. I've seen everything there is." They checked his development thoroughly, his build, body structure, skin, and more, documenting everything for the file. While he didn't understand all the details, the doctors remained professional and kind. Eventually, Dr. Dennis said he could get dressed again. "Those are girls' clothes, aren't they?" Dr. Kelly asked. "Yeah, they're the only ones that fit," Victor replied. "Do you like wearing them?" "They're more comfortable, like the underwear too. But if anyone saw me in them, I'd be humiliated," Victor admitted. "Your dad said the other kids at school often call you a girl. How do you feel about that?" Dr. Kelly asked. "What are you, a therapist or something?" Victor asked. "Right on both counts," he replied. "Okay, and what is this medical term I apparently don't have? And the development I'm supposedly going through? Or the lab whatever?" Dr. Kelly started to answer, but was interrupted by a knock on the door. "The images are ready in the viewing room, doctors," the technician said, and gave him a friendly wink. That made him feel better. At least someone here seemed to like him. They walked down the hall to a room with several images on a backlit wall. His parents were already there, and his mother pulled him onto her lap. The doctors examined the scans and murmured technical terms he didn't understand. Dr. Kelly came over, showed him the scan, and explained, "These are the things you asked me about, and yes, you do have them." He pointed out each one and its location, including his physical characteristics and some underdeveloped internal anatomy. "These internal organs are driving most of the changes," Dr. Kelly explained. "We don't yet know if they're functional, but they're producing hormones at a rapid rate." "So I have another daughter," Laura said. At this point, it could go either way. Physically, it might be simpler to support a feminine path, but we have to make sure the mental and emotional foundation is there too, otherwise we might create new challenges, Dr. Kelly replied. "It's not yet 2 o'clock. I'd like to spend the afternoon with him, if that's all right with you." "Well, I guess we can stay downtown a little longer. I'll need to call the girls if it runs past 3:30, so they don't worry," Mrs. O'Malley said. "Here's my suggestion," Dr. Kelly said. "We'll probably be done by 5 or 6. I'll personally make sure he gets home safely, put him in a cab, cover the fare, and call you. I'll also make sure he eats. I know he hasn't had anything since early this morning." "With his appetite, that's a deal," Gregor said. Dr. Kelly handed Gregor his card. "This has my office address and numbers, including my private line. I'll take him to the safari room for lunch, then back to my office. My team will be there until 6, so call any time if you have concerns." "The safari room? Bring your wallet," Laura teased. "No worries. My credit's good there, and I can always wash dishes if needed," he replied. The O'Malleys huddled briefly, then called Dr. Dennis to join them. "We like you, doctor, and Victor does too. It's okay with us." They all went their separate ways. Laura paused as she watched Dr. Kelly hold Victor's hand while crossing the street, just like she used to. He'd make a good mom, she thought. It was nearly 6:30 when the cab pulled up. The driver escorted Victor to the door, as prompted by the generous tip. The door opened before he reached it, revealing 4 people squeezed into the frame. Victor looked happier than he had in years as he hugged his mom. Then the questions poured in. "Wait, everyone. Got any more of that good Irish juice, Dad?" Victor asked. "I picked up 2 bottles on the way home." "Your sisters are already enjoying some," he replied. Victor grabbed a glass, topped off the others, and they all settled into the living room. "Well?" his mom and sisters asked in unison as he sipped his drink. "Don't give your old clothes to St. Vincent's anymore, Colleen. You're going to be a girl," she asked. "No. It's just a clever plan to steal your super strength bras and launch fruit at you," he joked. "I'm going to need my own stuff for support and a lot of help." The other girls have a 10-year head start on me. He gave me papers for you to read. Some are for the school, too. I don't have to go back until after the holiday break, or even later if needed. The school's in trouble for how they handled things, and it's only going to get worse once the doctor is through with them. He already called the principal, but someone else beat him to it. There's not much they can do about the hormone situation without major surgery. And even then, it might not work. My body seems to have made its own choice and just forgot to send the memo. Got more of this? His mom refilled his glass as he continued. By the time I'm 18 or 21, they might be able to help align everything, and by summer, things will have shifted so I'll appear more like a girl physically. And I might even have more curves than you too. One thing the doctor said is that a part of my brain will always have a bit of boy thoughts, though the rest will lean girly. I can't wait to be a fun-loving goof like the two of you. But hey, it's not your fault hormones mess with your heads. They have to do some kind of scan every month to check something called ovulation. You'll know it if it happens, sis. That's fun, calling you sis. And don't worry, I'll help you learn the ropes, Colleen chimed in.